Hello traders, welcome to today's video guide. I actually used to do one of this every year, but I missed last year. So I wanted to make sure that I made a new updated one for 2026. So we're going to go over the entire TradingView platform. I'm pretty much going to guide you through every single button and function that is in this platform and explain to you all the things that I use, what everything does, and some little tips and trick as well on some of the shortcuts and things that I like to use, okay? So I'm gonna have timestamps at the bottom of this video to organize it. I'm pretty much going to be splitting this up into 4 main sections. We're gonna first talk about just the main chart window that you see right over here. We're going to talk then about the top margin, the top box. Then we're going to go and talk about all the tools on the left side. And then we're going to finish off with these little menus on the right side. Okay. I am currently using the desktop application, which is almost identical to the website, except for a few functions you're going to see here on the top bar that we're going to go over pretty soon. But other than that, that's one of the greatest things about TradingView is that it is a cloud-based platform. You can run it on your computer, laptop, mobile phone. It works on Mac, Windows, anything that you use, you're going to have access to TradingView. So even for traders like myself, like I like to day trade using advanced order flow indicators, which TradingView at the moment is not. Probably that's the one thing they're still lacking is more advanced tick chart data, etc. But aside from that, I mean, TradingView has anything that you could want. It's super easy, intuitive, looks very slick, and is, you know, I don't know any trader that I know of that doesn't have a TradingView account, even if it's not their main trading platform. Okay, so let's start off by just talking about the main chart. Okay, when you open this for the first time, it may look a little bit different because I've already customized some of the colors and everything on mine. But basically, the main chart window, and I'm just going to mark off here the area that we're going to talk about. So we're going to be talking about this area right over here. Okay, so you're going to have on the top left your information for whatever symbol you're looking at, your time frame. You can just click and drag in any direction, or you can use your mouse wheel to expand and contract the charts. Then on the bottom, you're going to have the time axis, okay, with the dates. And then on the right side, although we can customize this as we're going to see, we have the price scale. And if you put the mouse over the price scale and do your wheel, is going to expand and contract, or you can click it and expand and contract yourself. Same thing with the date here. If I just start, if I grab the date, it's going to be, instead of moving, if I grab on the time scale, is going to contract just like if I was using the mouse wheel. Okay. Now, we're going to go over the settings functions in a second. Down on the bottom left, you can see you have this 1 day, 5 day, 1 month, 3 months, etc. And also a go-to function. So basically what this means is if I click on 1 day, that is going to show me an entire day in minute intervals. If you hover over, it's going to tell you exactly how it's going to display it. If you go to year to date, is going to be year to date in 1 day intervals. So this is basically a way to just have like a little shortcut to show specific periods on your chart. Or if you go into the little calendar and you click on it, let's say I just want to go to January 29 and I click go to, and now it is going to go back and point out exactly that day on whatever time frame I am on the chart. Okay, now with the price and time scale, if you right click on them, you're going to see different options that are going to pop up. Pretty much everything in TradingView, if you right click on it, you're going to get menus. Like if I right click on the chart, you're going to see I get some options coming up. A lot of the things on TradingView, you're going to find out there's several ways to get into the same things on different places. So it makes it pretty intuitive. If I go to settings, we're going to talk about settings in a little bit when we go over the top menu, because as you can see, just like I said, there's a button here specifically for settings, or you can access it by right clicking and selecting settings. Okay, but if we right click on the time scale, you can see we get some options. You can select your time zone. I always have it by default to New York because I think that's the most important time to track, especially if you're trading the futures markets. Session breaks here, I have it very light, but the session breaks are basically going to be a marker. And if I double click them, it's going to bring up the settings for them. If I make them darker, it'll make it easier to see. So you can see basically it puts a vertical line at the beginning of each trading day. And if I switch markets, if I go to Bitcoin, it's going to start off at 7 p.m. Eastern time. If I go to Forex, it's going to start at 5 p.m. Eastern time. If I go to futures, it's going to start at 6 p.m. It's going to be specific to whatever hours the market you're trading is. Okay, so let me just make this a little lighter like I like to have them so it's not too distracting. And sessions, then you can select if you want to see the full electronic hours or if you just want to go to regular trading hours. So in the case of futures markets, you would pretty much just see from 9:30 until 4 p.m., which is the regular stock market hours. But I always like to have it at full electronic hours. On the price scale, if you right click, you're going to get other options. You can change the price scale to be percentages, for example, based off of the daily open and close. You can have logarithmic. I always just have it on regular. You can move the price scale to the left side of the chart as well, or move it back to the right. And you can change different labels and things that you have on it. Okay, so for example, like if I want to put the high and low labels, right here is going to show me where the low and the high of the chart is that I'm currently in. And if I move around, then you can see the high and the low are going to adjust itself to whatever it is that you're displaying on the chart. Okay? But again, this is something that I normally don't really have. So let's just take off this. But this is all options that you can play around with. More settings is basically, again, another different shortcut to the main settings window. And the plus button, if I go here on the edge, you can see there's a little plus that comes up next to the hand of the mouse. If you click that plus, it just brings up some little shortcut options. You can add alerts. You can set orders if you're logged into a broker. Or you can just have a little horizontal line shortcut, okay? And again, this plus, you can just turn it off here. If I do that, you can see it doesn't turn on now, but I always like to have the plus button on. Now, let's talk about, if I go down here, you're going to notice when I bring my mouse down here, these buttons are going to come up. So this is basically, I don't really use these buttons at all because I find I can do everything with my mouse. But basically, if you do the plus or minus, this is like a zooming in or out horizontally. And if I do the arrows, this is just going to move the chart one candlestick at a time. So this is especially useful, like if you're testing something and you don't want to see what's happening in front and you want to go one by one, you can just start doing like this, and the chart is going to start moving one by one. And then finally, this reset chart view, you're going to find this button everywhere in the platform. Basically, if I move around the platform, or if I get like lost and I don't have anything on the screen, if I just click reset chart view, it's going to automatically center everything again for me, okay? And that same shortcut is going to be down here. You can see, if I move my mouse here, there's two little shortcuts here. One is going to be the L if I want to make the scale logarithmic. And the other one is going to be an A, which is going to be, again, the auto fit. So you can find the auto fit right here. Or if you right click, it's going to be here, reset chart view. Or you can select auto fit here. And with auto fit on, what it's going to do is, if I move back on the chart, it's automatically going to adjust the how tall the chart is to always show the high and low within a specific margin on the chart that you are going to set. Because if I turn this off and I move here, you can see the chart disappears. But if I have automatic auto fit on, it's always going to fit the chart on the screen. Okay? This little gear icon is pretty much the same menu as if I would just right click on the chart. Is going to bring the same menu options. And then from here, the bottom of the time zone, if you click this, it brings up all the time zones. So this is another way to change your time zones. And then this is again selecting electronic or regular trading hours. So the same option, if you right click on the time scale, it's going to be the same option right here. So like I said, a lot of different ways to bring up the same functions on TradingView. This back adjustment option, this is going to be an option that is going to be used for markets that have different contract rollovers. So here, as you can see, for example, on December 16 was the expiration of the December contract on ES. So I have it back adjusted. If I take this off and we go back to this day, you can see we have this whole gap between the rollover from the December into the March contract. But if I back adjust it, then it is going to close that gap, okay? So that's an option that I always like to have on. I'm going to show you in a second how we're going to get this label on and off when we talk further into the main chart menus. And the last thing to talk about here is going to be this little button you see on the bottom right. If I bring my mouse here, you're going to notice this little arrow. this is going to scroll to the most recent bar. So if you go back in time and you're sort of lost and you just want to go to the current candle, press this and it's going to take you to the present moment. Okay, and you can see if we're currently in the present, this doesn't come up. But if you go back a little bit, now it's going to come up again and it's going to let you push up to the front. Okay, so that is the main things related to the main price chart. Now let's go and talk about the top section here of the platform. Okay, so here, since I am in the desktop application, I have the ability here to just open new tabs at the very top with this plus sign. Here I have some presets. So if I put YouTube, I pretty much get, you know, the same templates that I have right there. This is an indicator. We'll talk more about indicators in a second. And I can just switch back and forth. I can also pull this tab off and just move it to another screen if I'm using multiple monitors as well. Okay. Then top left here, wherever you have your profile picture of logo, this is going to be your main menu. So here you can explore your profile and plans and billing, etc. As you can see, I have the essential plan, which is basically their cheapest paid plan, but all I really need with TradingView is to have access to volume profile indicators. So for me, that's pretty much the only thing that I need. If you go here under explore our plans, this is going to bring up a window with all their different pay plan options and the breakdown of what they have. If you go to home, this is just the TradingView main homepage. Help Center, this is basically going to open this window where you can type anything. You know, if you want to look for volume profile, you just click enter and then it's going to break down all the material they have related to this or any frequently asked questions that you have. Okay, so you can get to the Help Center either through here or, as we're going to see on the very bottom right of the screen, there's also that little question mark to get to the Help Center. What's new? This is basically like a blog where they post all the latest updates that they have done. And then your general app settings. This is to take off the drawing panel here on the left side. I recommend you just always have it on. Select your language, and then keyboard shortcuts is going to bring you into all the different shortcuts. This is a pretty cool thing to use. If you have time, definitely worth. I have a few shortcuts myself that I use that I'll talk about as we go later. Okay, so this is the main menu option. We're just going to work left to right. Then over here, symbol search. This is where you're going to be able to look up whatever it is that you want to see. Okay, and you have access to anything. Let's say I want to see Tesla stock. I just put TSLA. I can also refine it by categories here, or just put everything. So I'm going to click NASDAQ. And so here we have the 1 hour Tesla stock that you see right here. And I can change, whatever I want here. I just come in and type it. Or I can just look by categories. Let's say I want to go to the ES futures. And there, it takes me right into there. So this is where you're going to find any market that you want. There's also this ability to spread operators, because you can put in different formulas to compare different symbols and create synthetic charts etc. Then the plus icon here, this allows you to compare different symbols. So you can set, let's say I want to compare it to NASDAQ, and you can select how you want to compare it. So let's say I want it in a new price scale. So right here I have, in candlestick I have ES, and then right here in the blue line I have NASDAQ, and I can double click it, and then I can change the style. I can make it hollow candlesticks, and then right here you have two independent price scales for each one if you want to compare markets, etc. And if you want to get rid of it, I just go right here, click the garbage bin, and then it takes it off. So this is a pretty cool tool if you want to compare markets, whether they're correlated or inversely correlated, etc. Right here, this is going to be all your time frames, okay? This, with this little arrow, you're going to bring all the different options, or you can make your own custom interval with this plus sign. If you wanted, I don't know, to have a, 12-minute ad, and now you get an option here for 12-minute, or you can take it off. You can see some of this have a little star next to them, okay? This star means I selected it as a favorite. So whatever you select as a favorite is going to show up here on the top bar. And I have selected pretty much my favorite time frames that I like to use to track in the markets, okay? Next, we have candle types. This is where you're going to be able to change if I want a line chart, if I want hollow candles. And again, all these charts, if you just double click them, this is going to bring up the main settings function, and you can change the colors and different settings for all of these types of charts as well. I pretty much only use candles here in TradingView. But you can see, you can select Heikin Ashi, you can select Renkos, etc. But by default, I always just use candlesticks. And same thing, if I click on the star, then it's going to add them in, but I don't really need to because I always use just candlesticks, okay? Now, next to that, we're going to have indicators, okay? You can see I have indicators, and next to it, I have an arrow for favorites. So if I click on indicators, this is going to bring up a window. You can see on top is the favorites. So this is all the indicators that I have marked a star with, that I have selected. If I go into technicals, this is basically going to be all the base indicators that are built in to the TradingView platform. Strategies, profiles, this is going to be all your volume profiles. So you can see here I have 4 selected as favorites, which is the ones that I use the most. And also patterns. There's also, so here it says there's no fundamental metrics for this. And then down in the community tab, this is all indicators that are publicly available, that are developed by users of TradingView. And here, if you go to search, you can find pretty much anything. Let's say I want to look for a moving average. So if I write moving average, it's going to give me first my favorites, then the technicals that are the base of TradingView, and then all the community ones. So let's say I just want to apply a basic simple moving average. I click on it, get out, and now you're going to notice all my indicators are going to start compiling on the top left of the chart right over here. And here you can hide or show it. You can click the settings. You can click to see the source code for this. Some indicators are going to have a protected source code, so you're not going to be able to see that. This is all using a soft language called PineScript, which is what TradingView uses. And then you can remove it, and then there's some more options here as well. If we go into settings, there's several ways to get to the settings on it. I can right click on it and click settings, or I can go to the gear icon right here, or I can simply just double click it, okay? And here you're gonna have all your settings. Let's say I wanna do a 50 daily moving average. And you can play around with the settings. You can change the color. You can change the thickness of the line. You can say, okay, I only want to see this on daily time frames. So if I do this, if I go into a 4-hour time frame, you can see that it disappears. If I go into the daily, it's going to show up again. Okay, so all this is controlled here in the settings. I'm not going to go into specifics of each indicator, but that's basically how you're going to use them. And if I want to get rid of it, I can click remove up here, or I can just click it and press delete, and it's going to go away. Okay. Then there's also this option called indicator templates. If you have a collection of indicators that you like, you can just click save indicator template. I have here a whole day trading combination that I like. So if I click on this, you can see I automatically get 10 indicators applied to my chart, which are meant to do different functions on different time frames. Here I have my Monday highlights on the background. I have my weekly volume profiles. If I go into a 5-minute chart, now I'm going to have my session volume profiles. I'm going to have my volume indicator at the bottom, etc. Okay, so whenever you set up your indicators just the way you want them, go to save indicator template. You can give it a name, and then that's going to save you a lot of time and effort, as you're just going to have all your indicators already preset for all your charts the way you want them. So let's just leave this on for now with all my 10 default indicators, and let's continue. Alert. This is going to let you select a bunch of different conditions to put alerts. You can put alerts not only on chart drawings and prices, but even on indicators. So if I want to select if this crosses a moving average, to send me an alert, you can click on that, etc. Okay. For alerts, you can create them up here, or the way I mostly use them, since I mainly use it for price levels, is with the little plus sign that we talked about here. So let's say if we come down here, I want to set an alert, add alert ES at 69.48. And now you can see we have this dashed line. If I hover over it, is going to tell me that I have the alert. If I move it here, see, it just triggered, and now I have the little beeping sound, and now I have a pop-up window here telling me that ES just crossed that level. So these alerts are very useful. Let me get rid of this. We're going to talk about this later when we talk about the right edge of the chart. But basically all your alerts can be found right here on the right side if you have them on your log. That we'll talk more about this later. Okay, so that's the alert function. Then replay pretty self-explanatory. If I want to replay, I don't know, let's say that I want to replay this chart from the start of the Monday daily candle, then it just goes back here. You get the little watermark saying replay, and you have all your controls here. So let's play it at single speed. I click play, and it's going to just start replaying the entire day right there. And there's even a new function you can see here on the bottom left that you can select trade, and then this is going to select the bar to replay. So if I go here, let's go into the hourly, or let's go into the 5 minutes here. So here with the replay, if I wanted to play back and do some paper trading using the replay function, I can just come, start new replay. Let's say I want to start trading the beginning of the regular session today. And then I go to the bottom left to trade. And then right here, I can just click play. And it's going to start replaying. And let's say I want to just market sell here. Or it was set as a limit order. But I can just move my order. And then here you can see I'm pretty much just paper trading. You can select a take profit, etc. So this is just a nice little function that you can use on the replay if you want to paper trade, etc. Just when you do the replay, you got to select a specific candle to start the replay, and then you can start selecting your trade functions. And here on the replay, you can change the speed if you want it slower or faster. You can select how often to update the interval that you're using, or you can click here to jump all the way to the present. Okay, so that's pretty much the replay function. Let's get out of here. Let's go to the hourly chart and reset our chart. Now the undo and redo, this is a very useful thing if you do something by accident. Here, let's just clear the chart again, just to avoid any confusion with all this indicators showing on the screen. So, let's say that I had a drawing set here and I just want to undo. I just go and I click undo, and it'll undo everything. It'll even undo the different scrolling and motions that you made on the chart. Like here, I undid. Here, I'm undoing all the indicators that I took off. Or I can go forward and redo and just get everything clean again. So the undo and redo are two very, very useful options. Okay, next, we're going to have the layout setup. Depending on what kind of level plan you have on TradingView, you're going to be able to split the screen in different functions. Since I have the essential plan, I can only split it in two. So if I select this one right here, you can see like right there, I have ES on the left, NASDAQ on the right, or I can do it horizontally as well. And also I can make this wider or shorter for each chart. Okay. If I try to go into a higher one, it's going to bring up this window saying that I would need the plus plan in order to split it into 4 windows etc. Okay, so let's go back to the normal one. Next, we're going to have our layouts. So this is a layout that I called YouTube, and I have it on autosave, so every few minutes is going to save whatever progress and drawings and things I've done on the chart. I can make a copy, I can rename it. I have 3 here, so if I go like into charts dark, open anyway, you can see this is now a default that I have with a dark background. And if I go to the other tab, I have my regular YouTube and I have my dark charts right here, for example. Okay. And here I can manage them. I can do a favorite. I can rename them, or I can even just delete them as well if I want it. Then this little magnifying glass with the lightning, this is a quick search. This is a nice function where anything that you want to search on TradingView, you can find through here. Let's say I want to search a rectangle. I just put rect and it brings up anything on TradingView that has this letters. If I want to put a MACD indicator, oh sorry, it's not meant for indicators, it's only for tools or for functions. So if I want volume profile tools, I just put vol, and here you can see we get this, etc. So this is just a very nice quick way to search for things. Now here, the gear icon, this is now our main settings, okay? So here under symbol, this is where you're gonna control the color of your candlesticks. This is the settings I have. Session, again, you can see, like I mentioned from the very beginning, a lot of these functions, you're gonna find them all over the screen. Like you have it down here at the bottom right, or you can do it right here. You can change background of the electronic hours, adjust for contract changes. Status line, this is going to change the top right here. So logo, I can take off the name, open market status, chart values. Basically this, you can see as I drag my mouse, these numbers are going to give me the open, high, low, close of whatever candlestick I am hovering over. I can put the value change, volume, etc. And then this background option, I like to have it all the way to the top. What this does is basically, if I bring the candlesticks here, you can see it's not going to cover it. If I turn this off, the candlesticks are going to be through showing behind the letters and numbers. So I like to just have it all the way on top so it doesn't block my candlesticks. Then scales and lines, currency and unit. Here you can see visible a mouse over. If I go to the price scale on top here, is going to say USD, but if I go away, it doesn't say it. I can have it always visible, so it always tells me what it is, etc. The scale modes, again, this is the auto fit and the logarithmic. I have it just on visible mouse over. The plus button, you can turn it on and off here. Countdown to bar close, this is going to be right here, this clock that is telling me on this time frame how much time is left before the next candle is going to form. Symbol, I can have the name of the symbol displaying right here, but usually I just have the last current value and the line. And then different lines like the previous day close, the high low, days of the week on the time scale. You can see if I go down, it tells me what day of the week it is. If I turn this off, it's only going to give me the date. I do like to have the day of the week enabled. Date format, the time format, then the canvas. This is going to control the background. So if I want a dark gray background, I can just change all this. I can make this a little dark gray. There's also an option to do like a gradient, which is, like a cool little feature that you can add different colors to it, etc. But normally, I just have it as a solid light gray background. Grid lines, I don't like to use grid lines, but here you can mark grid lines here, vertical and horizontal, or you can make them as transparent as you want. What I normally do is I just turn it all the way to 0% opacity so that they disappear. The crosshair, this is going to be basically where your mouse is. I can make it into a dash line and make it darker if I want. Normally, I like to just use the dots, and I like to use just a light gray color on it. Watermark, you can select where you want to have the watermark. Like if I put the ticker is going to tell me what symbol I'm currently looking at. I can add the interval as well, etc. And then the scales, this is going to control the size of the text and color of the price and time scales. The buttons at the bottom here, visible on mouse over, but you can have it always visible, so they're always showing there. And the pane as well. And then the margins, this is going to be related to the auto fit. If I change the margins, and let's say I put 5%, that means that this is always going to keep a 5% margin on the top and on the bottom of the chart. So if I start moving this around, it's always going to keep that percentage margin going between the bottom and the top of the screen. Okay? So that is pretty much it for the canvas. The trading, pretty self-explanatory. You can enable the shortcuts for instant buy and sell buttons, etc. Execution sounds, again, we're going to talk about brokers in a second. At the trade, you can show the profit and loss, the execution marks, your buy and sell alerts. This is going to show you the alert lines when you set them up. And then the events panel. The events panel, if I mark off continuous contract switch on futures, for example, to December, you can see I'm going to get this purple marker, which is going to show me that this was the moment that we switched, that the December contract expired and we started on the March contract. And you're going to see this as a vertical line on the chart over here. Latest news and news notifications, you can turn that on just to get pop-ups and things for important things coming up. And then here under template, you can just save all your settings that you have. So that way in the future, you can have different setups for different kind of charts, etc. Or if you click on apply defaults, it's just going to go back to whatever TradingView had as the general default. Then full screen mode, like the name says, this is just going to maximize the chart and is going to take off the top and the left margin to give you the maximum screen space. And to get out, you're just going to click escape and you're going to go back and get your menus up once again. Take snapshot. This is if you want to take like a screenshot or share it on social media, download an image of your chart, etc. The trade function, this is going to ask you to sign into your broker, or you can even just select TradingView paper trading. And here you can see now you're going to get buy functions and sell functions to do some paper trading, etc. as practice. Okay, just going to take this off, cancel this. And if you want to completely log out and get out of trade mode, right here on the bottom left is going to tell you the broker you're currently in. So you're just going to click that. And then here it tells you this is just the default 10,000 SIM funds for paper trading. You can just select log out, and then you're going to be able to log into another broker if you want to. And then finally, the publish. This is just to share on the social media aspect that they have on the TradingView website, which I don't really use. And then just to finish off here, this is on the desktop platform. Again, if you click on this, it's going to open a new window that you can move into different monitors, etc. And then here, it's going to bring up similar to the settings from this menu. Is going to tell you your account and program. You can again go back to the settings tab here, or you can use the shortcuts. If I want to select dark mode, I'm going to put it right here, light mode, or I can just select the system default, etc. And then obviously minimize, maximize, and closing the application. So that is it for the top of the chart. Now let's talk about the left menu, which is pretty self-explanatory. And again, you can drawing panel, you can turn it on and off. This is going to be your drawing panel, where it's going to let you select different functions. The first one is how you want your mouse to be. You can select the dot. You can select the little color dot on it as a demonstration. I generally just have it as a cross. And then here you have all the different drawings. You'll notice that on the different drawings, I have stars on them. Okay, this is going to be my favorites. So once you select favorites from all the lists, you're going to see this star at the bottom. If I click on it, this is going to be my tool shortcut bar. So this is all my favorite drawings that I have. So instead of having to go through all these menus, let's say I want to apply a Fibonacci, I can just select it here from my retracement. And, I can just mark the top down to the bottom. And then obviously for all these tools, let me move this to the bottom here. I can double click it and I can bring in all the different settings for each specific drawing that I have. Here, if I want to do, a rectangle, I just go here, select rectangle, and let's say I want to mark off this area. You can see it comes like this because I already have a preset, but if I go to my presets, let's just select here a box. And for the settings of all the drawings, there's different ways you can get to the settings. Again, you can right click on it and select settings. You can click on it, bring in the menu, and here you can change, a lot of things like the colors, the line width, etc. You can lock it so that you don't accidentally change anything. Or you can even go to the tool and just do everything right over here, okay? For all the drawings, you're able to save templates, which is something that I highly recommend. So for that, you would just go here to the first option for templates, and you can select Save Drawing Template As. I don't know, let's call this red box. I click Save, and now every time I select a rectangle is going to come with the presets of the last drawing that I used. So let's say that I want to apply a box up here and I want to make it a red box. Instead of having to manually change everything again, I can just right click it and I can go directly to templates, click red box, and now it's going to come back up with the exact settings that I selected. And as you can see, I have a ton of different settings that I have, and if I want to get rid of it, I just click the trash can, and now this template is gone, okay? Now, some little tips. Trendline is one of the most common tools that we use, okay? With trend lines, if you want to make a trend line that's perfectly flat, just hold down the shift button on your keyboard, and that way you're going to move your template and it's going to stay at one straight line. If you push it down holding the shift, it is going to snap it in 45-degree angles, okay? And if I let go of shift, I now have free reign again on it. But this shift shortcut is a really great way to make perfectly straight lines, okay? Now, you'll notice with all these tools and functions, you can do text and just type whatever you want, etc. Also, with these tools, you can also set alerts. As I mentioned, I can make a trend line and I can select an alert. And so now you can see this little clock. So now anytime price crosses this trend line, it is going to give me a alert that the price is crossing. You can see right there, I'm getting an alert right now that price is crossing my trend line. So this is a really cool feature to be able to set alerts on chart drawings. Here you have little emojis and icons. This ruler, this is going to let you measure different moves on the chart. So if I want to measure, like if we go to silver, which has been a crazy market lately. Let me take this off. And let me turn off this function for the contract switches. Like we had this monster candle last Friday, so I can take the ruler and I can measure, you know, this was a 37% down move, for example. And there's a shortcut for the ruler. If you just press and hold shift and click the mouse, it is going to bring up the ruler as well. So if I hold and click, and then anywhere else that I click is just going to take it off. Then the zoom in, if I click this zoom in, I can select an area of the chart that I want to zoom into. So if I go into an hourly chart, and let's say I want to zoom in on this down move, I can click zoom in or zoom out. So let's say zoom in from the top to here is going to basically show me that entire move zoomed in on the chart. Now, next to this, we have the magnet mode. Okay, magnet mode, you can have weak, strong, and you can snap to indicators. If I turn this off, if I'm trying to do like, let's say I want to do a horizontal line from this swing high, if I don't have the magnet mode, it's kind of hard because I'm trying to calculate where to snap it. If I turn magnet on, the mouse is going to snap to the candle open, high, low, and close. So if I go here, it's very easy for me to mark off this line with the magnet because it's going to be snapping to the edges of the candles and the wicks. Now, sometimes, let's say I want to apply a line for whatever reason right in the middle of this candle, but you can see I cannot do it because it is snapping to the edges. So one quick shortcut that I like to use is if you hold down the right here, if you hold down the control button, you can see magnet mode turns on and off. You can see on the left side how it turns on and off by itself. So if I want to just place a drawing anywhere on the chart without snapping, I can hold down control and I can just move around and there's no magnet mode. If I let go control, magnet mode is going to come back on. Okay? So that's a nice little tip there. Keep drawing. This basically means that if I click on a chart and I have this on, is going to stay in the last drawing mode that I use. So this is especially useful if you need to apply a bunch of different drawings of the same thing. Then you can just click and have this mode set so it locks into that indicator. Lock all drawings. This is basically so you don't accidentally erase any of your drawings. You can see now if I try to move these drawings, nothing is going to happen because they are locked. If I take this off, I can once again move the drawings. Then this, you can hide drawings, indicators, positions, orders, etc. If I click this eye, let's just put in a bunch of different drawings on the chart. If I click this eye, it is going to hide all the different drawings that I have added into this. And then here, this is basically the chart linking. So that means if I have different silver charts, let me just bring in silver here again. you can see I have here on the left 1 hour silver, on the right 15 minutes. If I turn this off, that means that if I make another drawing here, it is not going to copy on the other chart because I have the linking turned off. But if I turn this on again and I select this drawing, it is now going to replicate it on all the same chart symbols that I have. And speaking of, if you go here on the layout setup, you can also select here what different items you want to sync. So let's say I want to sync the same symbol on all my different charts. If I change to ES, both panes are going to become the same symbol. Okay, so that's a very useful function. If I want to synchronize the interval with different symbols, here I can have silver and gold. And if I change time frames, they're both going to switch to the same time frame function that I have, for example. Okay, so that's just a little tip as well for all that. And then finally, the trash can. You can select to remove drawings or indicators. If I click this, it is going to completely clean up the chart and is going to turn everything off that I had drawn on it. Okay, so just be careful with this one because you don't want to accidentally erase. Obviously, you have the undo feature. So if I just go back on the undo, I can bring back everything that I had before I erased everything. And then to finish off very quickly, let's talk about the right panel. So the first option you have is your watch list. This is where you can add different symbols to keep track of. Here you can even have different lists open. I only use one list by default. I can rename it. I can add sections. So these sections are basically this dividers that you see here. So I have categories for futures, crypto, ETF, and Forex. I can move everything up and down as I want. I can change the order of my symbols, for example, etc. With this plus, it brings up a whole list where I can add another symbol. Like let's say I wanted to add on the Dow Jones futures, YM. I click on it, it's going to throw it at the bottom of the list, and then I can bring it up here. And now I have the Dow Jones added here into my futures category, for example. Advanced view, this is going to give you a ton of information on all the different symbols that you're going to have on your watch list. So this is a really great function, very informative. Then here's settings as well. I can change how much information I have. I can put the last price, the change amount, the change percentage. I usually just have it set as the last price and the change, or just the change percentage pretty much for the session. And that's pretty much it for the watch list. Next, we have the alerts. So any alerts that I set, let's say I put an alert on ES, if we come to this lows, is going to show it over here. And so all the alerts that you have on all your charts are going to be compiling on this alerts tab on the right side. You can create manually alerts right here. You can set how you're going to get notified when they trigger, and a bunch of different settings here. You can pause all the alerts as well. Next, we have the object tree. So this basically, everything you have added into the chart, it is going to show here. If I add a bunch of things on my chart, like I just added my whole indicator templates and this drawings here, you're going to find everything under the object tree. You also have a data window showing you a bunch of different functions, but here you can control everything from the object tree. If I want to remove things, I can remove them directly through here. So again, the object tree is very useful to organize. Then you have the community chats. Then finally you have the screeners where you can create watch lists, look for, what's different markets as well by country, etc. Then PineScript, again, this is if you want to write code or different things. This is going to be the place where you're going to be doing all that. Calendar, this is going to show you significant news events for the market you're currently watching. So this is economic news for the ES market. Community, this is just social media aspects of TradingView. Notifications, anything that you have set. And then products, you can select different products from this list. And then finally, the help center that I talked about as well. Okay, so that's pretty much basically everything to do with TradingView. I've gone over every function possible in the platform and every single menu and icon. I hope this has been useful. Leave a like, subscribe to the channel for more trading content, and I will see you all in the next video. Take care.